Hey YouTube, hope you guys had a good weekend. I thought I'd come in here and comment about a couple of this thing going on in this gay world. All right, thing one. Thing one is this show. I watched it last night. Uh, Pose. Now, every time they have something, these FX shows, particularly if they have something to do with a gay subject, and I include the one when they did with Joan Crawford, they really built it up a lot. Anyway, I live in a very gay neighborhood, so in the trains, in the subways, you buy space on these big billboard type things. It's been sweeping the whole neighborhood with these big signs of this upcoming show, Pose, or perhaps that's taken from Strike a Pose. That's kind of the theme of this thing. So this is I won't be reviewing the show, but I'm going to I'm going to talk a little bit about my impression of the show itself, the first episode. Of course, these things that I assume they're going to get a little better as they go along, right? This is the first episode, world premiere. So, Pose it's taken from the story Paris is Burning. It's basically the same thing. Paris is Burning was a documentary, became very popular. It's cult classic now. But this is the dramatization, right? So I'll tell you the first my first impression was not a good one. The first scene of this thing, I think it's probably one of the silliest things I've ever seen. So in the first scene, they have these girls, these girls that live in this one house. Like some of them are gay boys, some of them are trans or drag queens. They all live in this house, right? And there's got this house mother. I think her name is Electra, and she's always got 1,000 or so on her back. So she's kind of a fancy kind of girl, not really clockable except for in this environment. Anyway, she takes all these children down to this museum. Now, you know what it's like. You can imagine the security around a real museum, right? They all traipse into this museum and they're looking at these royal clothing from times past. You know, queens and but things that are museum quality clothing on display. They go in right before closing. The man says there's 10 minutes to closing. Now, how's he gonna let all this gay come into the to the museum 10 minutes before closing and he don't recognize that they didn't leave? So they said 5 minutes to closing, and so they all start scrambling and hiding under furniture and stuff in the museum. Right? This is so unrealistic. So they hide in the museum. Then when the museum closes, they go and they take all of this clothing off of the dummies. Kings, queens, princesses, real elaborate costume, right? They grab it and they run out the door. They put it all in trash bags. Then they locked in. So they take a bench and throw it through the front window of the museum. Now, I don't know what kind of museum this is, but for one person to hide out in the museum would be an event, right? They could pull that off, considering it's probably covered with sensors and all that. They're able to keep all these girls. I must have been about 8 of them. And so they're just running down the street. The cop says, I know where they're going for some reason. There's a cop on the beat, whatever. Like he knows that these girls that went in there and they're the ones who went and grabbed these clothes, like they do it all the time or something. I don't know what the connection there is. But they run into this ball, right? And they're changing clothes as soon as they hit this ball place. There's already been one contestant up there doing the royal bit, and they get booed off stage because their stuff is so tacky. It's kind of like a Ross kind of version of royalty. And then these girls come out in all this elaborate stuff. Now they did makeup, they did everything, and coming out flawlessly. This is why they're running from the museum, and the police are en route to the museum, right? So as they come down, they do their show, and then the grandmother of the house, she comes and she presents her hands to the cop, for the bracelets because they all go to jail. Now that's the silliest thing you ever heard of. I said, okay, this is not gonna be my tea. This is gonna be some kind of comedy sitcom. But here's what irritated me: is they presented this as this is a real scene. They actually did this, right? And so when it breaks for commercial, I said, okay. They come back, nobody's in jail anymore. I guess they'll be embarrassed to let them know Queens went into the museum, took their clothes and all this. And so I said, well, they're gonna present this is somebody's dream. Somebody's having a dream, right? Oh no. They're serious. That was the scene that's the first scene from this new series, Pose. Okay, so they go from that scene, which I think is just a ridiculous scene, didn't make any sense at all, to very serious, dramatic scenes. Because this primary character, and I don't remember any of the names, I'm just going this by memory from what I saw last night. But the primary character, this dancer, this young guy, he wants to be a ballet dancer, right? His dad is opposed to that, of course. So they show him, he's in his room practicing his little dance after school. His father walks in on him, confronts him about this ballet dancing stuff and how the boys down at the dock or wherever he works, or perhaps drinks, could be a local bar, whatever, wherever the guys gather, they're laughing at him. They're all going to laugh at you. Well, they're all laughing at him because his son was seen coming out of a ballet studio with ballet shoes on, right? So he tells him that I've already told you that's not going to happen. Will not be humiliated. But it's a very serious scene, and then it ends up in violence. It's just hard for me. But, I mean, I guess the younger you are, the closer you are to these kind of stories, because that is kind of what happens a lot. This man takes off his belt. He shows this boy a magazine, his gay magazine that he found in his room. And then he commences to beating the shit out of this almost grown boy. He's 17 years old with a belt. Not only does he beat this boy to belt, and I hate when they show this violence against particularly people who are becoming adults. I mean, this is a very big teenager. You're beating him like he's, I don't know. It's very difficult for me. Beats him up with this belt, right? Then he takes all of his stuff, or he takes him, drags him to the front door, and throws him out on the damn lawn. Throwing him away like he was trash, of course. Now, we can all say, oh, that's horrible, that's horrible, it's horrible. But this kind of shit happens all the time. I imagine it still happens. Some people, they cannot deal with it. And then they're always using this religious shit. So here comes the mother. Now we assume that there's always a yin and a yang with that, good cop, bad cop. She's more offended by this magazine than she is about the dancing. She knew about the dancing, right? But when she shows the magazine, then she slaps him in addition. She wants him to fall down and repent. Stupid ass people. That's the biggest failing. That is the failing of the American family. One of the biggest failings of the American family is when you trade your children in over these stupid ass ideas you done picked up at the church house. Ridiculous. We're going to look back on these days. I won't be. I'll be dead. But in the future, people are going to look back at these times and say, what kind of stupid ass, crazy ass shit was that? You have thrown away your family members because of something that happens in nature. But I digress. Let me get back. Okay, so this boy runs away to New York City. He meets another primary star. I wish I had all these names written down and stuff. And if I was going to really review this show, I would have taken time to do that. But this girl, it looks like this cast is almost all black and Puerto Rican. This Puerto Rican trans girl. So I got to cut to her story a little bit. When it first opens, so the museum scene was not the first scene. The scene with this girl finding out she was HIV positive was the first scene. Okay, so she's a Puerto Rican girl. She found out she was positive, and she is living in this house. That house they did the robbery thing, right? And she informs that mother, Miss Electra, I do remember her name, that she wants her own house. She wants to leave. Miss Electra is not having it. And she is she's very condescending to these other people. They're all supposed to fall down and bow beneath her. Now, she lives in this fabulous loft. Now, I'm just giving them a little bit of play here because a loft like this woman is living in New York City, today, I don't remember what it was. I was there in 1986, as a matter of fact. I was living in Los Angeles, and I got a lawsuit, got some money, and me and my partner went to New York City, although we only made it a little over a month. But I was there in that period, and that rent had to be in the thousands of dollars, even then. It takes place in 1986. Anyway, so this house mother, and she's the one that she got all the wardrobe and all that. She's a fancy lady. But the house she's living in is a big loft, looks like. She tells her, I no longer want to be here. I'm leaving. I'm going to do my own thing. This girl feels like her life is coming to an end. In 86, she had every right to believe that, every reason to believe that her life would end soon. So she wanted to pursue her dreams. She wanted to push it. And she wanted to have her own house. So it might be a small dream to a lot of people, but for her, it's everything. So Miss Electra, she dogs her out, say, you'll be back, bitch. Anyway, so she has an empty house. Now, we're in New York City, and we're in Manhattan. And this girl goes and looks like, she gets an apartment, shabby apartment, but it looks huge. It looks like it's a 5 bedroom apartment. I mean, all they show us really is this long corridor with all these doors in it, right? I don't know where this girl got all this money, but I mean, it's just not doable in Manhattan right now. And I don't remember it being doable even then, but houses are real. The story is based in realities. So somehow or other, she has money to get this house, but she has nobody in it. She runs across this dancer kid who is sleeping on a park bench because he's come to New York City with no money, barely clothes on his back, and a backpack. That's it. So he is her first recruit. And they become friends. They're trying to show us how a house gets started, what the idea behind a house is. And a lot of this is taken from Paris is Burning, in my opinion. They had to have studied that to write this. Anyway, so now you got two. Then there's a third girl. The third girl, she is a trans woman, and she is a hooker, streetwalker, or whatever. She doesn't have money. So she goes to these balls. She tries to get into this ball, and when she goes out with her little outfit on, now remember, these are high queens. These queens are much higher than the girls in Paris is Burning. Paris is Burning, they get your realistic look of kind of the gritty street life. You know, mothers with no teeth and all that kind of stuff, kind of the way it really was, because of the documentary. These children, you know, the mothers all grand, like the empresses, and $2,000 or $3,000 worth of clothes on their back at all times and all this. She goes up there in her little dress that looks like a slip, and they laugh her off stage, right? So she has never been a part of a house, but the girl sees her getting humiliated up there, the first girl, sees her getting humiliated up there, and then she approaches her about joining her house. And so now we had three. Three, right? They show a little bit about this girl. I'm 14 minutes. Okay. I'm going to try to get step by step on this. But they show this woman. She is a prostitute. She picks up this trick. This trick is he's just gotten a job for Donald Trump. I'm surprised this is allowed to happen. I don't know if Donald Trump gave them the go-ahead to use his name or what, how that works in Hollywood or New York City, but they're using the Trump organization in this thing as a backdrop of this guy's career. He's just starting, just got the job. To celebrate his new job, he wants to go and pick up him a trans woman. Not a hooker, he wants a trans hooker. So he picks her up. He's all shy. This is his first time. She says she's seen him for weeks, cruising in the neighborhood. He finally stops, picks her up. It's awkward for him because he's never been with a trans person, or at least not with a prostitute. We get the impression that this dude has never done anything. He's a married man with children and family, and he's got this great new job. But he gets with her. They have this long, kind of drawn out scene where they get together. She is getting, she's falling for this guy, right? And based on the way this episode went and some of the previews they've shown us, we see that he's kind of got a thing for her too. But she doesn't fit into his lifestyle, obviously. One thing being he's married. The second thing being he worked at this Donald Trump organization. So the girl, she's got her nose open about this boy. He's this middle-class looking white guy, young, he's an attractive guy. She decides to go down to Trump Enterprises and stand outside like she's some Pretty Woman or something, right? And he said, "What are you doing here? You can't be here. I've got a wife and children. You can't be here." She gets her little feelings hurt. She goes off, and so now she's back in his house. There's 3 of them now, right? Excuse me. Okay, what happened next? The boy. Now he's not. Hopefully, they're not gonna put him also in drag. He's a dancer, and so hopefully they're not gonna turn this boy out. Just a mixture. Some of them are gay boys. Some of them are trans women. Some of them are just drag queens. Okay, so they want to compete. They compete and they lose. And they're doing this dance called Pose. I think it's taken from Striker Pose. I believe this was a dance movement back in the day. They lose, but there's some potential there. The little Puerto Rican girl, she is friends with the MC there, right? The MC, he works at Macy's, but selling cosmetics or something. He does the little spritzers when they spray it on you in Macy's, but he really balls are his thing, so he runs the whole thing, right? But he did not let his friends win. He said, "I'm surprised you guys did as well as you did." So they're off to a start. He gets into making them clothes and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, let me see. The next thing that happened was I don't know. I think it's kind of the highlights of what I remember from last night. So anyway, this thing is called Pose. It's on Sunday nights. It's on FX. Same ones who did the assassination of Johnny Versace. Other than the first scene, because after that first scene, which was just so ridiculous to me, after that, I thought, okay, this is not going to work out for me. But I watched the whole entire thing. It went on for an hour and a half. It was 90 minutes. I did get engaged. So perhaps it's just that first scene, but I don't think that's the way to kick it off. All right, that was Pose. Okay, next in the YouTube streets over the weekend news. Okay, next thing I saw, Andrew Caldwell takes a visit, right? So Andrew is in Atlanta, Georgia. This happened I think this happened on Friday. I see this picture with him and Miss Messy Ass Michelle. She done hooked up with Andrew. She does anything for publicity. And then she has Andrew talking shit about, he called it TC Madison or something like that, but T.S. Madison. And he is riding around, going to a club, meets Kaya. They drag him around there, trying to get their pictures taken with him and all this. Andrew, I don't know what Andrew talking about he delivered. All Andrew was missing, really, is a wig. If Andrew had a wig on, you would think he was a woman. His mannerism is so intense. Everything about Andrew speaks not only that he's gay, but he's a woman. He acts exactly like a woman or old time church sissy. They get him down there. Michelle is baiting him, trying to get him to say. She acting like, "Oh no, don't say that name. Oh, don't say the name, Timothy." She wants him to insult T.S. Madison because that girl, she thinks in dollars and cents. She wants to get another week out of this T.S. Madison. She's trying to pull it out, right? I see you, Miss Michelle. Anyway, they dragging him around town. I guess she's driving him. He's there to be in this play. I guess it's only a 2-day rehearsal, and then they perform on Sunday, yesterday. Let me say something about this play first. Should I get the mess first or them? Yeah, let's go do the play first. Although I didn't see them in this order. The play is actually funny. Okay, y'all can see that it's on here, YouTube somewhere. I think Heathen Central is playing clips from it. But the thing about the play is, because at first I said, who in the fuck wants to pay money to see Andrew Caldwell? I mean, why would they fly him down there? He obviously he can get no damn talent. He's so affected in this movement and everything. I don't know what kind of role he could play, right? Well, the role he's playing is exactly himself. Now, this play, I don't know much about it. It's called The House That Misery Built. It's starring Leandra Johnson and, what's the other girl's name? LaShawna Pace, who are big gospel artists. They're stars in the gospel world. And they got Andrew in there. So I figured, okay, they're going to have Andrew do a walk-on something. But no, I saw the play, and he's got a starring role in the play, right? And guess who he plays? He plays Andrew Caldwell. So all the lines are taken from his actual life. I am delivered, and I stay prayed up that cast me bound. The shit that he does every day, they have worked this into this play. They have worked this character in this play. And the audience is reacting to the foolishness of Andrew. So think of a Tyler Perry play. This is what it reminds me of. Think of a Tyler Perry play and a character like Mr. Brown. Someone that animated, right? Andrew plays a character like Mr. Brown, but only he's not acting. This is the way he really acts. And there'll be a womanish version of Mr. Brown. So it's a different character. He's not playing Mr. Brown. He's playing Andrew Caldwell. But it has that minstrel type of a animated type personality kind of thing. It's exactly what Andrew says every day. He goes into his preaching thing, and he goes into his I'm saved, and sanctified, all this kind of foolishness. But people are laughing at this thing. I don't know if some of them are thinking, some of them maybe they're just Andrew fans, but there's no acting involved in this. This is him being himself. Now, I'll give Andrew credit. He's able to get in front of a crowd like that, do his lines, and be somewhat entertaining. So does this mean he doesn't take himself seriously? I don't know what it is. But he's there, and he's in this play. And I have to say, he seems to work in the play. So maybe this is a character, he can make some kind of career out of it. I think if somebody like Tyler Perry, somebody saw that, that might interest him. That might interest him. You see how he rode the weight of social media. If he can do this, no reason why he can't do that. So anyway, back to the mess. So as I'm wandering around, I see that Andrew is the locked horns with Miss T.S. Madison because Miss T.S. Madison is pissed off. Apparently, when Michelle and this other Kaya are toying with this boy, he said something about T.S. Madison. That would probably be bad enough, just an insult. You use trade insults. But he said something about his mother. Now, even a fool knows you don't talk about people's mothers. I don't know what it is, but even since kindergarten, the line that must not be crossed is to say something about their mama. Your mama, and then boom, 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 boom. Well, things haven't changed that much. So she is pissed off. She's driving this car, and she's warning these people of an upcoming hurricane. It's going to be a Category 6, I believe, hurricane coming your way. So she's pissed off. She's in her feelings. And generally speaking, Miss Madison likes to keep it light because she has fans. And so she usually doesn't go to a place where she would talk about somebody's deformities, somebody's, missing ear or something like that. She wouldn't say anything about, she's always kind of liked Andrew. She was amused by him because many times she has made reference to him, his character. She kind of felt sorry for him. But he's going there talking shit about her and her mother, and that's the key thing. So Miss Madison is driving around pissed off and calling this boy all kinds of very personal slights. I tried to explain this a few days ago myself when I was talking about Miss Burrell. How when you in a battle with somebody, the gloves come off. The glove come off automatically. So she's calling Andrew, what does she call him? She's saying that he talks about the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he twists and turns. She ran his eyes out. She's pissed off about this Andrew. Fortunately, Andrew is getting out of town because the play didn't take place in Atlanta. They rehearsed in Atlanta and went to, I think it's Raleigh, North Carolina, or wherever. Raleigh. That's where it actually took place. So, Andrew, you made a new enemy. I don't know why Andrew seems to want to constantly jump into the pond with these alligators. Don't you know these alligators would chop you up, man? First, it was Cordell Stewart. You see that man that took you to court and cleaned your clock to the tune of $3 million, right? Then he goes and insults. Next thing he goes and insults was William McRae. No matter what you think of William McRae, I'm sure we all have our personal views. I don't think that was the right person for Andrew to go pick in a fight with. Andrew contacted the man, said, the next time you use my name, I'm going to sue your ass. And then imply a gag order so you can't say shit about it. So McRae, they had their thing. They had a 2 month long feud. Right? Who else you go after? Oh, a couple of weeks ago, it was the cussing preacher who cussed her out. Andrew seems to think that he's a lot smarter than he is. Now, there may be some kind of crazy like a fox element to him. For some reason, he's able to manipulate this online. So I don't know if he even takes himself seriously. He appears to be taking himself seriously. I don't know how much truth that is because he knows he's a minstrel. He knows he's the comic relief. And he seems to enjoy that role. Lord, I done got a 30-minute... I don't do 30-minute videos. So that's what I saw this weekend. Okay? Watch Pose. You young people are probably going to love that. And then I guess they'll be laughing about this play for the next few days. And Miss Madison, calm down. Don't you hurt that child.